So here's a short video about adding fractions with denominators of 10 and 100. So in 4th grade, we really haven't done a lot of adding fractions with different denominators, but this is something that we can easily figure out. So 3/10, if I model it in this picture, is colored in like that. 5/100 looks like this. Okay, but the problem here is that I can't add my denominators because they're different. So I need to create an equivalent fraction of 3/10 into hundredths, which would be the same thing as me drawing a whole bunch of lines in this model and making it look like this one. So I'm going to just do our strategy that we talked about before. I'm going to multiply by 10 in the numerator and the denominator, and I get 30/100. So now I don't need 3/10 anymore. All I have to do is say 30/100 plus 5/100. And I know that 30 plus 5 is 35, so I'm going to say 35. And then my denominator stays the same as 35/100. Excuse me. So we went further in class and we started a little section that looks like this. We started trying to add these fractions together without the models. So here I know that 4/10 is actually 40/100 if I say times 10 in the numerator and the denominator. And I can say plus 12/100. I don't need to change it because it's already in 100ths. And I add together 40 plus 12 and I get 52/100 as a fraction. Now I want to change it to a decimal. I'll get 0.52, which is said 52/100. Now some of the problems that the kids did had the same denominators, which is something that we've done before. 2/10 plus 5/10 is 7/10. I write it as a decimal, 0.7. Some of the problems also were related to decimals. They were already decimals. So we changed these into fractions. So this is 1/10 plus 1/100. Well, I need to change this into hundredths. So if I use my quick method, all I just have to do is add a 0 to the numerator and the denominator. Add them together and I get 11/100. So my fraction is 11/100. My decimal is 0.11, which is also 11/100. Some of the kids get a little bit confused also when we do problems like this. Sorry, I was going to move that over a little bit more. So 55/100, I'm going to add it to 7/10. I'm going to change it to 70/100. Well, here when I add these together, I get 125/100, which is an improper fraction. But I can change that into 1 and 25/100. And then I just change it to the decimal, 1 and 25/100. I know that it has to have a whole because it's more than 100. It's an improper fraction or a fraction greater than 1, and so I have to change it. So this is probably a little bit more difficult for the students to grasp, but we will continue practicing it so that way they can understand.